Okay, we are live.
Perfect. Good evening, everyone. This is a call to order for the special meeting for the Bridgeport Board of Education on Monday, March 6, 2023, 6:30 p.m. And for all those that are viewing, it's also online. At this moment, we're going to see if we'll call if anyone's on public comment. I know that we were made aware, but just in case, if we missed anyone, Tim, are we all set?
No one signed up for public comment.
Okay, so let it reflect that no one signed up for public comment. The next item is discussion and possible action to begin the process of filling the vacant Board of Education seat left by Erica Castillo. I'll just say, and then we can talk about it. I know that we've been through this process previously when we were filling the seat for Mr. Weldon. Mr. Sokolovic did send out a document that was the same for Mr. Weldon's seat. I know that there are some changes that need to be made and also some dates needed to be added for this particular process. So at this moment, I'll open up the floor for further discussion on this as we plan this out and get some deadlines for it.
Yeah, a second meeting in March is still within the deadline, so I don't know if we want to do it then. But also we got to caution that there may be many replies, and if there's like 15 people, I don't think we want to interview them all on the same day. So I don't know if we want to split up the interviews between two meetings and then make the decision at the regular board meeting, or hear them all at the regular board meeting, or hear them all at a special meeting.
So I'm sorry, just go back again. You said that this falls in line with the...
Yeah, the second regular meeting in March is like
March.
The 20, what date is it? Like the 27th?
27th.
The 27th, and then you add the 1 day for the last day of February, then you got 28 days within the 30-day period.
Mm-hmm.
So we could conceivably do it without a special meeting. The only problem with that is we might get 20 responses, and if we got to do 20 interviews, it's not going to all happen on the same day.
Right. Yes. So I'm a hold on there. I see Ms. Baptiste Perez have her hand up. Go ahead.
I was actually thinking about how we as a board will address a high turnout for people that may be interested in the position versus the previous role, because it is a Democratic seat.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the thought of splitting it up amongst multiple days was one, but I wanted to know, I guess, gauge the board's thought, and I just came up with this, but having some kind of score sheet very similar to our superintendent evaluations or search, where if we did have 20 people speaking, we can just have the highest candidate out of our score sheets be selected. So it could still be a 1 day, well, 20 people talking, and if we were to go around with 8 questions and score them, it would still be a very long meeting. But I was thinking to myself, that may be a way to, I guess, more neutrally evaluate the candidates, assuming that there are a bunch of candidates. I mean, it did take us a while to choose between 2 for the Republican seat. So that's just my thought process.
Yeah, and I'll also add to, I'm not opposed to us splitting it or doing it the way that you just suggested. I think because all of our committees are meeting, and things are coming onto board, coming onto our agendas, I'm just worried about a lengthy agenda. Be it that if this process ends up where we have 20 candidates and we're trying to get it all done at a regular meeting, we would need a process similar to what you're saying to make sure it goes smooth and easy, so that we're not keeping, our staff, and everyone out late. And I know some would say, well, this is what we signed up for, but at the end of the day, it's still a process that needs to be honored, but also to respect it amongst us as board members, so we can, get the process done clear. I'll see Mr. Benahan's hand. Go ahead, Mr. Benahan. And then Mr. Keisha, you can go next if you have any thoughts. Go ahead, Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I understand what Ms. Christine said. We had 20, let's say we had 20, 15, maybe 10, maybe 2, 3, no, we don't know. But at least we, I not agree what she said. Let's take the most high qualified. I would like to listen to everyone. I don't want people I don't want people say, oh, well, education, they don't leave me a chance to spread myself and talk. You know, I know, but he can do a process to people, let them know before, listen, you got 2 minutes to spread yourself, you know, or as a board member, let's have a simple, short, positive question and we can give it to them and then they can answer to us. But I would not like put people behind people. Let's say 20 people, 10 people, let's apply for, let's listen to them. Because I don't want later they say, oh, board education, they don't leave me the chance. They really pick up, you know, the people they like. And you know how they are. So I'm little about my concern about that. That's all. That's no more question, Madam Chair.
All right, I'll go to Mr. Sokolovich, then back to Ms. Baptiste Perez. Go ahead, Mrs. Sokolovich.
I think you were gonna go to Keisha first. I mean, Miss.
Oh, she declined.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I was just literally brushing my hair across my face.
So you were good. Oh,
and it
my
looked
bad.
like
Go
I was
ahead.
going like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, no worries. Yeah, I don't think Ms. Baptiste Perez was doing it to exclude anybody. I think she was just trying to make it more based on whatever, but based on some criteria. But I just have an issue with that for another reason, because we could simply, unlike hiring somebody, this is a different process. We're not hiring somebody. We don't have to account by law why we didn't hire them. We could just exclude somebody just because we don't like their politics, basically, on the board, because they don't mesh with us, and that they could give the best interview questions, but we know they're embedded in some political and entrenched somewhere, and make that problematic for a good working relationship on the board, and you can't quantify that in a number.
Ms. Baptiste Perez?
Yeah, but it's not the typical interview questions, because I already know, if given for any candidate that's interested, I'm going to ask about their affiliation with having family members employed by the Board of Education and the susceptibility to being swayed into a particular way. And so if we have a candidate that's going to come forward and they answer, oh, no, I don't have no family members work for the board, and then you find out their brother-in-law or their mother works for the board, and you know they're lying, give them a big fat 0, and then we're still going to go in the back and deliberate, and that could be a fact that changes people's votes or their score sheets. So it's a more streamlined, thoughtful process. It helps us as a board member remember our questions that we asked, why we asked them, how they answered the question, and if there's something that we need to disclose that was unknown or was shown to be a lie, or that is known to be a lie, then we can, and back when we deliberate, we can bring that to the attention of other board members. But I think having that will help weed through the process a lot faster than previously. And again, I'm comparing it based off of the last one where it was just 2 candidates. And so, and the last Democratic seat that was open and available, I believe there was 13 interviews. We're under a clock to fill this seat. And so the more thoughtful, streamlined approach, I think, would be very beneficial to answering the question. And then, you know what, to a certain point, yeah, I understand it's not a job, but it is a job. It takes out of all of our full-time activities, and it is a true commitment. And I think when we ask thoughtful questions and when we're able to deliberate it and figure out who's going to have the seat, it is a job. It is a time-consuming commitment, and we're not paid for it. And it's one of the most thankless positions, probably. And so I don't want to undermine it and say, oh, it's not like a paid position. No, it's probably more valuable because we don't get nothing for it, and it's more time-consuming. And time is money. Time, you don't get time back.
Right, yeah.
So I still stand with my position. And like I said, someone could just be spitting a really interview really well. And then when we come to the back and we find out, oh no, they're lying, or someone could just show real quick, this person's lying. No, that will impact, because if they're trying to manipulate this process to get be appointed an elected position, then no. And so I still stand firmly with my position.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll add before I go to Mr. Sokolovic, I think the biggest thing, and one of the things that I feel strongly about is that time commitment. And we won't know what that's going to look like amongst the candidates that we have, but we have seen that this could be an issue with a lot of people. So I really want to make sure that whoever we are, whatever process we do choose, that the core things that the current board members would like to see in this particular individual are something that they can deliver on as they take the seat. So keep it in mind that we will have a larger pool of people. I think that gives us a benefit, but it also helps us really weed out who we know that can't really benefit from this seat. But also too, we don't want a long process. We want a fair one, but we don't need a long process for this particular position. That's just my thoughts. But go ahead, Mr. Sokolovic.
Right. We're going to interview everybody. No
right.
doubt. That's not beyond a doubt. And we're all free to take notes on who we think the best candidate is. My problem with the score sheet is we're adding another layer that wasn't there before, which will add more time. And then we're going to have to say why we got 5. And is everybody's question going to be weighted exactly the same? Is my question going to be as important in people's minds as Ms. Baptiste Perez, as Mr. Benahan's question, or is everybody going to argue their position anyway? Either way. So just having a score sheet is just like, it just seems redundant taking notes on each candidate. How do you think this person answered that? But so now we got to design a score sheet. What do we have? A score of 1 to 5? Are the questions all weighted equally? Are we going to stop and compute them before we discuss and say, oh, we got this one, this one, this one. Let's throw away the 6s. Let's throw away the 5s. It's just, and what do we do if, say, we vote right now and to take score sheets and say Joe Sokolovic says he disagrees totally 100% and he does not want to do a score sheet, Joe Sokolovic still gets a vote. So it seems we're just adding another layer for nothing.
Okay. Ms. Baptiste Perez?
Sorry. I don't think it's necessarily a longer process. If we have 2 great candidates, which is what we ran into the last time, and it could lead into a position where we're split amongst multiple various candidates. Then how do we break that tie? Aside from trying to wear someone out in the back from a debate, we could pull out the score sheets. I think if we're expecting, maybe the turnout will be low, but if we're expecting a high turnout, we need something that's going to be a logical, reasonable factor that can help in this situation in case there's a tie. And so I think it makes sense given, this is almost similar to ranked choice voting. We're choosing someone with the highest rank based off of everything else. I just think hearing and I just want to go back and address something Albert said. In no way, shape, or form was I trying to limit anyone presenting to the board. All interested in qualified candidates will have the opportunity to interview in front of us, but we need something thoughtful instead of, well, I liked Ms. Smith for the seat. Why? I think she answered the questions best. I think it'll just give us something more legitimate, or we're split between candidate A and candidate B. I think the score sheet, it helps instead of written notes, because the score sheet will let us know how strongly we felt about a particular candidate. Answered the question well. How strong did we feel about it? After about 7, 8, 9, 10 people, it starts to blur all together. And I think given that real fair chance with keeping that tally will help us in the process of deliberation in case there's a tie, in case there is a split, coming down to a decision in a timely manner.
Okay, Mr. Binahan, then Mr. Sokolovic.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I said before, everyone deserves a chance, whoever gonna fight for. But I'm always say this. I don't care. I care, but when I say I don't care, how big is your resume, where you come from, what kind of bachelor degree you have. You can have everything. You can have a doctor. You can say, my uncle is the president of the United States. But if you don't have that passion, it's not coming from your heart, from your blood, and say, I'm care about the students, I'm care about the parents, I'm care about the staff, I'm care about the community. If you don't have that heart, as I have, because I can say about me and others board members, we have it. But me, almost for 20 years, that's why I'm going crazy and I fight and I won't go over here and I'm going over there because my passion. I like it. I enjoy it. I care about them. If you don't have that in your heart, I feel like this is not your position, because the resume, any person that can do a resume, they can add a lot of things. Of course, we're going to search, we're going to find out. We're going to find out about that candidate. I know we're going to do that. But if you don't have that from your heart, I feel that this is not your place. And I always send that message out because it's not easy. It's not easy. And we all going through a lot of things, go back and forth. Yes, no, up and down. But at least we and the team, we working as a team. It was not easy in the beginning, but we communicate with each other. We respect each other. Yes, we agree, we disagree. It's part of the life. But if you're not coming from your heart, that you like you want to care. If not, this is not the position. And Ms. Brown, everyone, how I am when a candidate, they don't care. They don't come. They don't speak. They don't talk. They don't want to part of the committee. They don't, why are you here for? Just tell me why you're here. Wasting our time when I know we have better candidates outside. They want to be part of us. I just want to say that for the record. No more question, no more comments, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sokolovic, and then I really want us to decide what way we want to go. So go ahead, Mr. Sokolovic, because we can go round and round.
Exactly, and already the questioning of should we use a score sheet has already added 15 minutes to this meeting, and adding the score sheet is, why did you, Ms. Casimir, why'd you give this guy 5? I gave him 2. I don't think it should be a 5, it should be a 2, and then we debate back and forth if it should be a 5 or a 2. I don't need to track a number to track a candidate because there's too many intangibles involved with board service. They could be the most polished person with the highest education, of course, is going to interview well. And somebody who may be more involved in the community and give more burst answers and not be as well spoken as somebody else will score lower on the interview questions. And I don't think that's fair to discount the intangibles that you can't score.
Okay. Well, we need to decide what is the process we're going to do. And is that going to be the process that we have done in the past, or are we creating a new one so that we can be able to, whatever it is, we need to figure out the perimeters of what that process is going to look like.
Might I suggest people who find a score sheet helpful use a score sheet, and those who don't? Because we're all going to be able to vote whether we do it or not anyway.
So that was going to be part of my question, would be that we could include both and let you as the board member decide what you think is going to be best. But we need to make sure that that's clear to, I don't even know if that's even a possibility, but make sure that the candidate that's coming before us understands, our process, so no one feels like they were slighted in their interview.
We never gave in all the replacements we've done, we've never given an explanation why we didn't choose somebody. I'm sorry, Albert, you had your hand up. But
No, not a reason why we chose it, but I'm just saying the process so that they're aware. Because if it's gonna look different, or maybe I'll take it back. Maybe there is no explanation, but I just didn't want for someone who's viewing this conversation to come back and say, well, we heard that some of you guys are going to do it this way, some of you guys are going to do it that way, and I feel slighted. And I don't want no one to come back to us and say that they weren't fairly interviewed in this process. That was just my thought. Mr. Binahan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to get I don't know, I respect everybody's opinion, but a score sheet will, for me, help a lot because you can, we can have the questions there. We can give a score and then we can send that as a team and then we can make a vote. almost the same thing we did with Ms. Perry. You know, we have a score sheet, we ask a question, we put the numbers, and then we decide. So I don't know. For me, I don't know the other ones. I respect whatever guide you want to decide, but I'm okay with the score sheet. I just want to say.
So,
Yeah.
so then my question would be, will the score sheet be a compass of our questions? Is that what it is? Like, that's the next question. Like, my question
Right.
would be attendance. Like, do you have the availability to be at meetings? That's one question. That's one category. Is that what we're doing? We're taking each of our questions and scoring them based off of that. That's my thought.
Right, I'm sorry. I'd like to suggest nobody else review their questions ahead of time. Because if we're gonna do everything in an executive session and question people in an executive session, we shouldn't give them a heads up on a question.
Sorry. But for example, Ms. Baptiste Perez, go ahead. She had her hand up.
No, it's fine. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Sokolovic?
Yeah, I had another issue is are we completing these score sheets as we go along? Because if we're doing it at a public meeting, it becomes a public document.
I didn't hear you.
If we are doing the score sheets during the public meeting, I believe it becomes a public document.
I don't see no reason why they can't be done in executive session.
So we're gonna listen to all 10 and then go into executive session and then score them?
Score them. Any thoughts? Anyone else? Any thoughts on scoring and listening to them and then scoring them privately in executive session? Okay. Mr. Benahan?
Thank you. I'm trying to press the hand. You don't want to go through. I'm okay with the executive session. You know, that talk to them, listen to them, and then we do you know, a private, you know, section, executive section, the score, and then we decide that.
Okay.
So I'm fine with that. So as soon as possible we can do it, much better, because I don't want nobody take decisions for us. We have to take that decision.
Okay.
So.
Hold on, Joe. Hold on, Joe.
Yes.
I know you've asked. I saw Miss Akeisha hand up, so I want to grab her. Go ahead, Miss Cashmere.
I'm okay with the score sheet as long as that it's not cumbersome. And also, if there is going to be a score sheet used after we interview the candidates behind closed doors in executive session, there should be a time limit to it. Like, that's all I wanted to say.
When you say time limit, are you saying like how long we're behind their scoring? Or
yeah, I'm literally saying, like, you know, let's do the score without without the executive session turning into a 3-hour meeting about the score. You know, like, just everybody just be quiet, score everything without, you know, and then, like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm expressing myself right. I just feel like if there is going to be a scoring system, I would want it to be not 15, 20 questions on a scoring page. And then when we get back into executive session, if we want to have discussion about the score, I think that discussion should be limited. I mean, this is already cumbersome as it is, you know, and I think that it should be limited. Like, okay, if we're going to have a scoring system, everybody score, and then that's it. You know, like, you score and you gather the quantitative data, and then, you know, we move on from there. I hope I'm expressing myself the right way.
You did. Mr. Sokolovic?
Yeah, you expressing yourself fine, because that brings myself to the process. Okay, so we're going to interview somebody in executive session. They're going to walk out. Rather than go straight into deliberations, we're going to take a pause for a couple of minutes, write our scores, and then we're going to debate our scores.
No, I don't think that's what. I think all the interviews would take place during the open meeting. Everyone, however many candidates that is, everyone will gather their thoughts. You could take notes or whatever the case may be. Go into executive session, we score them. No real major discussion to keep time, because now if there's 20 candidates, we're going to be there for a minute. We score them, and, you know, once we've come up with the highest one out of all of them, we come back out and we announce who that person is. I don't think interviewing then going behind closed. Huh?
With no debate?
But that's what she's saying. Like, debate. I mean, we can debate it, but I'm just like, we don't need to be there all night to debate it. Because we just interviewed 20 people.
Right, and just going through the score sheets again with like I said, we can't capture the intangibles. And also, if we get 20 candidates, what are we going to do? The score sheets. We're going to do the score sheets 1 minute each, 2 minutes each for each candidate, and then if we do 2 minutes to do the score sheets for each candidate, going through 9 questions, 9 sets of notes, we're talking about at least 40 minutes just doing the score sheets alone.
Okay. Ms. Baptiste Perez?
My suggestion with the score sheets, it was that way we have a streamlined process because it's going to be hard to remember X amount of individuals or what they said. Or what was amazing. We know who applies to the role before they show up.
Correct.
Hence, the background check starts the moment they apply. And it's however anybody on the board wants to be their own private investigator for applicants interested. And so a lot of the sincerity and fact checking occurs before the actual interview, just like before you get hired for a job, they do a background check. I don't know where we get 15 or an exorbitant amount of questions from. It's normally one question per board member and you go around. And it could just be a high, medium, low. And then discussion, it can take place because if it's an even amount of candidates, and I'm just saying in the case that there's a tie, the score sheet can be used as a tiebreaker, because even with this vacancy, we still have board members that don't show up. And I just want to make sure that there's something we can rely on when determining another board member. I'm sure we'll all do our due diligence to see who X, Y, and Z are applying to this position. Who are they? Do we know them? But I don't want it to also cloud our judgment and that, oh, I may not like so-and-so, but they are committed. They don't have conflicts. Whatever interview question you could think of, because I thought we were going with the same format with the Republican candidate, is that one board member, one question, and go around. So I think it helps with the deliberation process so it does not last forever. And then who's to say we can write and take notes outside, not in session, and then say that's not a public document, but then because I just think that's just a convoluted point. I think the score sheets would be helpful. I think it also helps eliminate bias, just in case there is a candidate that maybe 150% for the kids, but you may not like their personality. Are you gonna, I'm trying to think of something that's gonna be fair and streamlined and help us through the process. That's all.
Okay, Mr. Sokolovic?
So what's to keep me from not liking, say, somebody like Joe Sokolovic? I think he's a moron, but he does well on the sheets. And I just don't like him. But he's probably the best candidate. And I don't like him, so I grade him 2s. Who challenges those 2s? And furthermore, there's only one question per board member. That's 8 questions. But if we have 10 candidates, that's 80 things we got to grade, that we got to score. And if we have 20 candidates, that's 160 items we have to score.
Ms. Baptiste Perez?
We're still going to have to evaluate them on that 160 questions anyway. And how are we going to remember 160 different answers? And so I don't want this to be a back and forth regarding it. This particular topic, I think it's helpful. I'm not going to remember how each individual answered those questions. I mean, we've made an assumption to assume that all board members will actually participate and submit a question for the interview process. We've doubled the interest compared to the last time for it. All I'm looking for is, and you know what, the best part about it is, yeah, you don't like candidate A, so you give straight zeros or straight lows. Everybody else was impressed. Everybody else did their background check, so your bias won't necessarily prevent someone from getting the position necessarily.
Right.
You can still be a very strong no, but if 7, 6, 5 have enough members to get quorum is for that person, and the score sheets also show that, it prevents your bias from tainting the process. And I think I understand what Ms. Akeisha is saying, because like I said, it was just 2 candidates. We were in there a while. I'm sure Ms. Casimir, sorry to call you by your first name. I want to be formal with Robert's rules. But I'm sure you remember how long you were waiting to get an answer, more so than I do being in the back. And so
I remember it like it was yesterday.
If you're like me, you're multiplying that by 20 right now and it's thinking, oh my God. And so I just think it helps point out the bias. What do you know about candidate A, Mr. Sokolovic, that you're not telling us that they got all low scores? We didn't see that. It'll point out the obvious bias more so than others. But I just think it helps streamline the process.
Right.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, I'm sorry to jump
Go
in there.
ahead.
Yeah, thank you. If you think back to some evaluations, we had score sheets, and then we had debates on the scores that we had on our score sheets. And we go back and forth on those. Just like, for instance, Ms. Baptiste Perez, if you have a 5 and I have a 1, and if everybody else got 3s, there's going to be debate on that. Why do you have a 5? Why do you have a 1? And then we're going to try to convince the 3s to move back and forth to each other. And then we're going to be going straight to debate anyway. It's just in my opinion, and that's another layer. But to sake of killing this conversation, I don't think score sheets are useful. But if the board wants them, I'll just rate everybody 5 equally and then make my case for each candidate that comes along, because it won't affect the scores overall. It'll be just like not doing it at all.
Okay. Anybody else have any other thought on this if we are going to move forward? Ms. Cashmere.
Yeah, just that the score, can we condense it as much as possible? Like, can we do, yeah, I really, really like him, or I'm in the middle, or no, I don't like him, or like no more than 5. You know how those surveys go, where it's, the smaller the number, I don't know. Does that make sense?
No, that makes sense.
From 1 to, and then 0 in the middle, and then 3, or we do like 1. If we do 1 to 5, I think 1 to 5 should be the most on a score sheet, like the most. No more. Don't do like 1 to 8 or 1 to 10, because then I think it's just gonna cause even more discussion. So, do you understand what I'm saying? Ms.
We
Brown?
understand what you're saying. I think
Okay.
the biggest question is, if we're going to do it that way, then we need to have either specific categories in which we're going to score the people on, because now you have to think about, if every person's going to get a question, there should be specific categories that somewhat or another falls in between those particular categories. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense. Because if all 8 of us have questions, maybe it's 3 brackets of like information that you can score 1 to 5 in, but all of us get to ask our questions. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Everybody
yes,
get what I'm
that makes
saying?
perfect sense.
I don't
Yeah.
know what they're gonna be, obviously, but I'm just saying that we still give the board members that opportunity to ask their questions. Maybe their questions aren't on the score sheet. Maybe there's just categories in which they score them in. I'ma shut up. Miss Baptiste Perez.
I was thinking as simple as possible. 5 is too much. High, medium,
Yeah, I was
low.
gonna do 1 to 3.
And it was just a reference point to make sure that if we're in a tie or a deadlock in the back, we have a reference point where we can point to and have that sheet be the tiebreaker and not the mayor.
Love it.
And so we interview. I really don't remember how I was going to say Joe, but then we actually have two board members with that name. So if we don't know what candidate X says, we have a reference point. Oh, we're all in consensus. He or she answered that question particularly well. I think it's the board members who do participate in this deliberation process would submit a question or in a similar fashion the way it was previously, and then high, medium, low. It is not a final score. It is just a reference point in case we come down to a tiebreaker. I think that's probably a more neutral ground, unless Mr. Sokolov is going to rank everybody high. But then that's him and his prerogative. But the idea is that we don't spend an exorbitant amount of time in this process. I will say that whoever is interested in applying, like, it is a lot of work. And I know Mr. Benahan did explain that earlier. It's a lot of work. And it's time consuming. And I just want to be efficient in this process and not let it get delegated outside of the board, because it really does impact how we all work together. Yeah, so I wouldn't even think a score to 1 through 5. I suppose it doesn't have to be the end all be all, but I think the score sheet can help us in case there is a tiebreaker. And there'll still be discussion, but it's not duplicative if we were to have 160 questions, because I'm going to let you know now, if I'm coming home to a board meeting after a long day of work, I'm not going to remember everything.
Okay.
And I think it just needs to be an element of that honesty and have a system in place where we can actually refer back so we can get it done in time.
So, yeah.
Mr. Sokolovich?
Yeah, so when you say a tiebreaker, are you saying that if there's the 3 of us here and comes down to a tie score, when you compute everybody's score, say Bobby's medium on 1 and 2 are low and 2 are high, and Bobby is convinced to change her mind to low or high, are you saying then the people who wanted to vote for somebody else has to vote for the next person? Are you trying to say it's going to be binding on the whole group of whatever this decision is? Because my vote's going to be my vote, tie or not.
I don't even understand your question.
You said a
My
tiebreaker,
point
like
is,
this.
we interview 20 candidates. We have 2 candidates that stand out. We can't make up our mind between the 2 candidates. Let's go to the score sheets. Oh, this candidate, not only was their commitment to Bridgeport outstanding, and they own this nonprofit and they've been feeding homeless children for X amount of years, and has a Harvard bachelor's degree. It's just going to help with coming up with a tiebreaker for the most qualified candidate.
So if we got 6 people in the room, because sometimes we don't get quorum. So if there's only 6 of us here, which is quite likely with this group on the board, and say, I'm just for the sake of argument, I'm going to say me, you, and Miss Casimir on the same, and Albert, Bob, Mr. Benahan, Ms. Brown, and Mr. Lombard's on the other side. But one candidate just happens to have one more point than the other one. So the 3 of us are supposed to drop our candidate because there's just a simple 1 point difference, and we're supposed to just vote, and that's the tiebreaker.
It's high, medium, low. So I don't know what.
All right,
are you
high,
saying?
medium, low. 2 high,
So
2
one's
low.
high and one's low, and one's answered low more consistently on other questions. That should at least give you pause to question whether they're going to be more qualified.
So there's going to be 3 highs and 3 lows. Okay, let's change it. 3 highs, 3 lows. What's the tiebreaker?
You're failing to understand this concept, and I don't mean to say it like that. I've had a long
I
day.
understand it
Get
perfectly.
back.
It's
We interview 20 candidates, right? There's 2 that stand out from the 20. No deliberation needed for the other. There are 2 standout candidates, and
Correct.
we are at a deadlock. We can turn to our score sheets, and if our score sheets reflect a deadlock, that's one thing. But if they don't, that can help us deliberate and make a decision based on how they've answered their questions. Or we can just let it go to Mayor Ganem. Because I just know for this month, I'm extremely busy, and I will have to walk out and not spend till 11 o'clock at night at a meeting for a candidate. I hope whoever joins understands this is a lot of work and it's long, and we need people to show up because we can't just rely on the bare minimum for quorum.
Okay. Mr. Benahan, and then I would like us to move this process forward to finalize what we're going to do. Mr. Benahan, go right ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know, and like you say, I'm agree with you, Miss Madam Chair. Let's keep forward. I know we are very smart, and we go to the point, and we clear. We're not gonna take long. Either me, I'm not gonna start to never like 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock night. We human, and we have to do the things to do and work and deal with the family and whatever. I know we can go to the point. Whatever hit 10, there can be 5, there can be 20, there can be 15. I know we go to the process. We go clear. We go to the point. And we are not going to take so long. I know we are very smart, and we are dedicate our life and our time to make decision. And I know we're going to get the best candidate. It's only that I can say, and let's keep forward. Let's keep process. Let's do the process of protocol, policy, and be positive. That's the only thing I want to say. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. So we need to decide, are we going to include, are we going with that particular way of just scoring them? What does everyone feel like overall, so we can make a decision? Because we have to start talking about what that timeline is going to look like. And then also we need to make sure Ms. Perrin knows what to change on the form for the candidates, which obviously we got to remove them from Democrat to Republican, Republican to Democrat. But if there's anything else in that document, she needs to know that. Ms. Kashmir.
I agree with Mr. Benahan. I think that we are highly intelligent people, and I think that we should use the score sheet, or I recommend the score sheet as long as, like I said, it's condensed. And I think that all of this will work itself out, and we're intelligent enough people to just, when we come to that bridge, we'll cross it. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Anyone else has any feelings on the best route so we can finalize which way we're going to go?
Now we're going back around in a circle.
1 to 3. 1 to
3. 1 to 3. Everyone gets a question. Is that okay? Is everyone in agreement?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
I don't, but I could be outvoted. So.
Okay. Do we want to take this to a vote?
Ms. Madam Chair, you mind?
Motion to approve a score sheet ranked from 1 being the lowest to 3 being the highest to be used as part of the deliberation process, not the end all be all of the deliberation process, to fill the vacancy for the Democratic seat left by Erica Castillo.
Is
In
there a
which
second?
each board member will ask one question each.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Benahan. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Sokolovic opposes. Any abstentions? Hearing none, the ayes have it. So we would work to get a score sheet all set. All right. Then the next part is let's talk about if there's, yes, Miss Baptiste Perez, I see your hand.
Oh, no. Sorry about that.
Okay. So the next thing is let's talk about the document. The document is, it's in your emails. Mr. Sokolovic sent it. For those that have done this already, we understand the whole entire process. The one thing that we do know that we need to change, and I don't know if there's anything else, but if you had a chance to look at it, was we need to change that the individual from the previous person would have been a Republican. Now we're looking at a Democrat. Is there anything else on that document that we see that needs to be changed? Okay, I see Ms. Perrin's head shaking. So go ahead, Ms. Perrin.
The date for when we would need to have all applications in.
Yeah, the deadline.
Yes. Everyone has their calendars. Because if we're gonna do this by our next regular board meeting, which is on the 20th, correct? Or 27th.
27th.
So our next regular board meeting is on the 27th. We need to make sure that everything is uploaded in the portal before then. I see your hand, Mr. Sokolovic. Go ahead.
Yeah, last time we were debating, I think we were a little further back in the process last time, and we were debating doing 14 days. I think that's possible this time because the 14 days from now will be the 20th, and then the board meeting 7 days after that.
Okay, so that would put us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
And that still gives us time if we see like a ridiculous amount to call a special meeting on, say, actually, if we do get a lot, we would have to notice that in notice it, like.
Needs to say that.
Right, we would need to state that interviews will be conducted via special meeting and or at the regular board meeting, depending upon the number of
Candidates.
Yeah, because if we get 20, I don't want to do them all in one day. That's no fair to anybody. I know I'm not going to listen to number 20 like I listened to number 1.
Mm-hmm. So does that 14, if I probably incorrectly counted this, does that put this by Wednesday, the 22nd? Or am I off some numbers?
Yeah. Well, I just thought 2 weeks from today, so I called it 14. Maybe it's 13 days.
Wait,
I was thinking Monday the 20th would be 13 days, and the 21st
Okay, so
would be 14 days. So
Okay,
we could do it by Monday to Monday. It might make it cleaner.
okay. Anybody have any thoughts about that? By the 20th, applications and resumes are in by Monday, the 20th of March.
That's plenty of time. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's like 2 weeks. All right. So, Ms. Perrin, can we
You said
make
the
sure?
sorry, Madam Chair, you said March 20 to until when?
Yeah, for everything to be submitted by. Then that gives us at least almost a week to before our regular board meeting. If there's any hiccups, if there's more than what we expected, we could start planning for if we need be a special meeting.
Okay.
Is
thank
it
you.
by 11:59 p.m., Ms. Brown, or?
No, we didn't do
What
it
was it?
that way. It's like 3 p.m. or 4
We have
p.m.
3 p.m. Okay.
4 p.m. 4 p.m. on Monday, the 20th, March the 20th. Miss Baptiste Perez?
I don't think that's how we did it the last time. I thought we had till 11:59 p.m.
No,
the
it was like 4 o'clock because we had to make sure that Miss Arlene had enough time to put them all within the portal I think it was something like that, but it was definitely during the day.
Oh, maybe wasn't the deadline on a Friday? Listen, I'm not in the mood to debate
Ye-
this out. As long as
Yeah.
we're giving ourselves ample time
Mm-hmm.
to get it done and it's spaced in between, the deadline for us to fill the seat is March 30th. So if we're trying to get it done
Mm-hmm.
by the 27th meeting, that's fine.
Okay. I wonder if I believe there was something else. Oh, to make sure that they were indeed Democratic candidates. I don't know the exact language, but Joe, you know this one. Before changing over any parties in between.
Right, it should be in the document. It's in the document. The 90
Okay.
days, or
Yep,
at least
it's
90
there.
days or a new voter or something like that.
Got
Yeah,
it.
it says such affiliation must be in effect for not less than 90 days as of the date of appointment to the board, with the exception of first-time voter registrants.
Okay. All right. So there's no changes on that.
Well, I'm sorry, I have a question about that.
Go ahead.
Just so I understand. So if someone, let's say, is an independent voter, they've been that like all their lives, and they want to apply for this position, they would have had to be a Democrat 60 days or 90 days before they applied or before the meeting? I'm sorry.
Yeah. May I give a quick point of information, please? Because
Yes.
I believe Ms.
Go ahead, Mr.
Casimir
Sepulveda.
is referring to unaffiliated voters and not independents, because independence is a party end of itself. So if you're talking about unaffiliated voters who don't have a party, because independent is a party, which they would have to wait for 90 days, and unaffiliated voters' rights vest as soon as they change parties.
Okay, yes, that's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Okay. And the person that they're submitting their resumes to is Miss Arlene. Yep.
I will put Arlene's name, but I'll also put Tim's name because I don't know when she's returning to the office.
Okay. As long as there's a direct contact person. Miss Baptiste Perez.
I don't know why I'm doing this from my cell phone, but I am, so I keep switching pages. Is the board search email still going to be, is it active and live?
We have to reactivate it because it was deactivated once we finished taking the first ones with the last vacancy.
Okay. And then I don't want to jump. Give me 1 second to jump back to it. Oh, it's not on it. But just as far as posting and publication of the vacancy, where will it be available again? For the public who are interested in the seat, where are we publishing it? Will we post it in the newspaper? I know it's going to be on our website.
And social media.
So we haven't, last time we dictated out exactly the places where we wanted them. So that would be the conversation that we would have now.
Yes.
I say do exactly the same, and if we want to share it, there's nothing wrong with us sharing it to places I'm sorry, Christine, will you finish, Ms. Baptiste?
Yes, I couldn't find a Teams page on my phone, so I feel really old and I'm done.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I say we go with what we had before. We got 2 responses. We're going to get a lot of responses. We could share it out to our churches. We could post it on bulletin boards. There's nothing precluding from us. There's nothing precluding us from calling a friend that we think would be a good fit and tell them to apply. I'm hoping the Connecticut Post, since they get so much ad revenue from us and watching our shenanigans, will be posting this as well. And I'll be posting it on Twitter and tagging reporters and hopefully get some more play in some of our circles. I know some of our advocacy groups will be posting it as well without cost to us. So I think where we posted last time, and if anybody feels that there's somewhere else it should be posted, we could feel free to take it upon ourselves, and it just adds nothing to the district. And thoughts?
Okay. I believe from there, that covers all of our areas. So with someone, oh, okay, I see you, Miss Perrin. Go ahead.
I would just had the question about that last sentence in the paragraph before last, where it says the board will vote on the final selectee at its regular public meeting on Monday. So did we want this to say March the 27th, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Right, well, you discussed about having too many people to do at the regular board meeting, so I think maybe we should add that language and or
Special meeting.
special meeting to be determined. And of course, if we do something, I don't think we'll do the selection. Now, do we want the special meeting to be beforehand or afterwards?
Well, so here's the thing, we can't predict what we don't know. Like we really won't know how many candidates will come in. So maybe, you know, by the a midpoint, as applications are coming in, that may help us to see like, okay, if we're over 10 or maybe 15, then maybe a special meeting need to be called. I don't know. That's just my thoughts, because we won't know until we post it.
Right. Yeah. I'm just saying, just to cover the bases for, like, say, if I was applying and I was expecting it to be Monday, and then all of a sudden it's Tuesday or Wednesday, so people can know to make themselves available for a certain, that it might be necessary for them to make themselves available on day 1 or day 2.
So I have a question. So with that said, Mr. Sokolovic, I thought, and maybe I misunderstood, that the person who's going to take the seat is going to be elected, and sworn in at that March 27th meeting, that the special meeting would take place prior to, if it was needed. Did I misinterpret?
No, you didn't. That's actually what we said. And as I was speaking, I was just thinking ahead, because yeah, you're correct. So beforehand would be best. So if we could schedule it for possibly Thursday or something like Wednesday, but then that leaves us only 2 days from the Monday. But it makes sense, like Ms. Perrin says, to do it before, so we could do it
At the regular meeting.
At the regular meeting. So unless you want to back up on the timeline and have them in for Friday, so we could have more time to sit with them, and then schedule the special meeting for Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know what committee meetings are falling.
So the special meeting will be if we have a large amount of candidates?
Correct, if necessary. And that should be so written in the application, in that release.
So what is the number? Or does it matter to mention it in the writing?
I don't know. I don't want to put 10, and then if we get 11, to have a special meeting just for 1.
Right.
So I think that's something we could look at. And I believe other people got something to say, so I'm gonna be quiet for now.
So then the special meeting would, okay, I'll hold my question. I'm gonna go to Mr. Benahan, then Ms. Baptiste Perez. Go ahead, Mr. Benahan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm a little confused in this situation about the special meeting, like it made me got a little headache. I'm having a lot of text messages, people are a little confused, a lot of people that are watching us. I don't know why we have to have a special meeting, because when we interview Ms. Akisha and the other person, we don't have the special meeting. I know we have more candidates. I don't know the reason we need to have a special meeting. I don't know why we had to go exactly the process we did it with Ms. Akisha applied for in the other one. And then, like I said, in the score sheet and whatever who's applied for, we can do it as soon as possible. I don't want this situation get long, because we don't know if we're going to get 10 or 50, or maybe we can get 1 or 2. We don't know. So I'm a little confused. So can you please explain me, because I know they watching, they send me text message, parents, they're telling me why a special meeting. They're a little confused about that.
It's a just in case. Like if we do get over a large amount of people, we still, it's going to be hard to do our regular business, because obviously we have to do our regular business at the regular board meeting, and then it's going to be a lot to interview 20 people or 25 people hypothetically if we get that many. So the special meeting will give us an opportunity to, at least if we get up to, we'll say 10, we're not going to write that, but if we get up to 10, we can at least interview half then, and then the other half at the regular board meeting. Does that make sense, or am I saying that incorrectly? Yes, okay. So you're
really,
gonna
I
split them.
really,
We would split the interviewees.
I really
that-
understand. I really understand that, but you guys want to make that decision, make it have 5-9 and 5 another day. I don't find that right. I don't find that right. I know that you have I need to have a follow the board education meeting, but if you're gonna have a 10, just depend how many resume we're gonna receive. It just depends. My opinion. Let's not do it the 27. Let's do it before the 27. Have a special meeting and interview these people only. My thought. I'm thinking that so we don't have that 27 going crazy or making half. I just want. That's my thought. I don't want to go back and forth 5 now and then tomorrow another 5. And for me, it's not look like for the people watching us.
So you're saying interview everybody at a special meeting and then just announce the person at a regular meeting?
That's the way I feel, and much better. So we don't got conflict with the regular board education meeting, the 27. So let's see how many people they're gonna apply for. And like you said, the last day, the 20. Let's see the 20 we check, and let's see have a meeting the 21st. We interview everyone. This is the day you're gonna come. This day we're gonna talk. Whoever they don't come, I'm sorry. We gotta keep forward, so we don't have conflict at the 27. That's my opinion. Whoever you guys decide, I respect the decision. So I just want to keep forward. I don't want the 27 go back and forth and take long and then divide the candidate. And they don't look right. And as I said, Ms. Christina said, we want us to make that decision, not the city, not the mayor.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Thank you.
Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Ms. Casimir had her hand up first.
Oh, sorry, Ms. Cashmere. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry. I'm gonna be quick. I agree with what Mr. Benahan is saying. The only thing that I want to add is that if we are to be doing business about a new board member coming in on a regular board meeting, if the agenda could just be stripped all the way down, that's not possible. Like, we're not going to be voting tonight on whether the gym is going to be colored blue.
We can't. So whatever our items are, they have it. That's what the regular board meetings are for.
Oh,
for the major
okay,
items. So we can't stop business to include, a new individual on. We're including you within the process. So those are our business items that we can't afford not to have a meeting, and if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, just wishful thinking. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Miss Baptiste Perez.
I think what Mr. Benahan says is an excellent idea.
I agree.
If we're expecting at least a similar turnout to the last Democratic seat vacancy, which is 13 candidates, then we should interview everyone at the same time on the same date. And that way, because we do have a few items on our regular meeting, and it can be very timely. And then we can just present the new member. Or wait, just clarify. We're going to interview all the candidates on a special meeting beforehand, and then the selection takes place on the regular meeting, or during the regular meeting, we're going to present the new candidate and we'll make a decision that special meeting, but we won't announce it until the regular meeting.
Yes, if that's what I'm agreeing at. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's go back to our timeline, because then that means that we get all the applications in on the 20th, and then that week is the special meeting. Yes.
Yes.
So now we need to find a date for the special meeting, which can be. You did mention, Joe, that Thursday.
Yeah, I don't have the committee schedules in front of me. If somebody got the committee schedules, I can make sure we're not hitting on somebody's committee date.
I believe Mr. Benahan's is always before.
I think he's planning on 23rd.
He's has the 23rd this month because he made a switch because of the surgery, so he's doing that piece. But the 24th should be
Friday.
open. Well, the 24th is a Thursday. I mean, that Friday. You're correct. That Friday.
22nd would be a Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the 21st is a Tuesday.
Right. Do you think 2-day turnaround from applications
So on
to
Wednesday,
sitting down is good enough?
so that Wednesday,
Right.
I'm not
If that's
opposed
enough
to-
time for everybody to review resumes.
Madam Chair, that's okay. You can do it 23rd. Don't worry. You can do it that Thursday, 23rd, so everybody be on the same page. I'm okay with that. Don't worry about me, guys. I just want this situation to be done. That's so.
Okay.
Let's have this done. I want to do as soon as possible. We want this to be done.
Is everyone okay for the 23rd? That Thursday?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Ms. Baptiste Perez, I see that you have your hand up.
I was gonna make a separate suggestion, but if it seems like everyone else is on board, I would have just said all applicants in by the 17th. That way we have the weekend to do a head count, and then it gives us more dates to choose the following week to do it. But it's very similar. It's not important right now,
Yeah.
I suppose.
Okay,
Sorry.
Mr. Sokolovic?
Yeah, I like the way Ms. Baptiste Perez is thinking. If we switch them, have them in by Friday, we could do the special on Monday.
I
And
agree.
Then it wouldn't bump up on Mr. Benahan's meeting, and he won't fall behind on his agenda items, and he could work to his
Okay.
agenda. And
What does everybody think? That Monday would be that special meeting?
That's fine, but there's a DEI committee meeting, so we're willing to put that
Ooh.
aside, Joe.
Is it that day?
Yeah, well,
My own committee?
that's what my calendar says. I might be wrong.
It should be the third
Right.
Monday.
Right. I can move it, or we could do Tuesday, either or, whatever. Is Tuesday available? Does anybody do anything Tuesday?
I'm available Tuesday.
I'm available only via
Teams?
Teams. Yeah.
The third Tuesday is teaching and learning, so that would be Ms. Baptiste Perez.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
Wow.
I'm not following that schedule. It's part of my work-life balance. It's just when me and the committee are available to meet, and we give you and your staff, Ms. Perrin, enough time to prepare. Yeah, quorum is key. So, that's fine with me.
All right, so we're gonna have the applications in by the 17th. The special meeting will be on Tuesday, the 21st. And we will interview, ask all of our questions. Then come Monday, the 27th, we will announce who that individual is, and they will join our team. Is everyone in agreement?
Yes.
All right, now.
Yes, I agree.
All right, so I'm gonna just say that there needs to be a motion on the floor so we can give directions to Ms. Perrin. So who would like to make that motion?
Motion to publish notice of the vacancy for the board and the application instructions as discussed during this meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Benahan. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Ms. Perrin, you have your directions from the board. Please keep me posted or keep us posted if anything does come up. We can outline that sheet, the score sheet. That can be an internal thing, making sure that everyone has a copy of it for that meeting on the 21st.
Okay.
All right.
So we're doing the meeting on the 21st, not the 22nd?
Wait, hold on. It's that Tuesday, the 21st.
So Tuesday, so that
Yep.
is Tuesday, March 21st. Okay.
Yes. Ms.
All right,
Baptiste
so
has given us
it will
her-
read, applicants should plan to make themselves available to attend an interview session to be held in public with the board on Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, with a time slot to be determined. The board will vote on the final selectee at its regular public meeting on Monday, March 27th, 2023.
Correct.
Yes.
All
Wait,
right.
wait. That
Oh.
last part, Ms. Parent, sorry to jump in. I'm never doing another meeting on my cell phone. The last part you read.
Mhm. You want me to read it again?
Yeah, please, thank you.
Okay. So the last sentence would read, the board will vote on the final selectee at its regular public meeting on Monday, March 27, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Also conducted remotely via a Microsoft Teams event.
Okay, that line needs to be removed because we just said we were interview and announce on the 27th. Y'all heard what I heard? That's what I wrote down.
Huh?
I thought
we were interviewing
On
on
the
Tuesday,
23rd.
March 21st.
21st, yep.
All
And
right.
I had in my notes that we were announcing, not voting for the final. We were making an announcement on the
Oh,
27th.
I see what you're saying.
Okay.
On it. Nah, Ms. Baptiste Perez, that's a little problematic because we can't technically vote on anything for an executive session, so we got to be in public
Right.
to make that vote.
But that's the way the motion we just passed was phrased. As discussed, that is exactly what was said, is that we would make the announcement. And I know I asked that question because I was like, are we interviewing and announcing? So
let's have a motion to edit to reflect that the vote will take place at the regular board meeting on the 27th.
yeah, second.
Okay, second by Ms. Baptiste Perez. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Motion carries.
Okay,
Right.
so then that allows the language that Ms. Perrin does have that the vote.
Will take place.
Yes.
Okay. All
Ms.
right.
Perrin, can you read it again, the whole complete, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
So I'll read the whole piece. Applicants should plan to make themselves available to attend an interview session to be held in public with the board on Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, with a time slot to be determined. The board will vote on the final selectee at its regular public meeting on Monday, March 27th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m., also conducted remotely via a Microsoft Teams event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There is no other, unless there's no any other questions. Yep. Ms. Perrin, go right ahead.
So just my last question is that the selected candidate will be taking the oath of office on the 27th as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Are there any further questions before we move to adjourn? Any thoughts?
Just a comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we, just drive the message home that the time commitment that, they would literally have to, like we do these special meetings, like, like they would have to really have their schedule flexible. I just want to make sure that we drive in, the message that it is a time commitment without discouraging people. That's all. Because it's a lot. It is.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion?
I agree. Sorry.
You're fine. You know my stance on it. So is there a motion to adjourn?
Don't move.
All
Move.
right.
Let's go.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Everyone have a good night.
Oh,
And
you didn't even give me a chance to say no.
oh, say no.
Good night.
Good night,
Good night,
everyone. Good night, Ms. Perrin. God bless you all.
Bye.